What is the role of managers in the training of employees, and what training should be considered? I'll cover that in this video. Hello, I'm Stephen Goldberg of Optimist Performance, bringing you practical tips and ideas on leadership, team development, and employee performance in the workplace. Training and development is an important element for employees, for everyone in the organization actually, and a manager must play a key part or role in that. And it's not often understood, especially in smaller organizations where there's no director of human resources, nobody thinking of a training and development strategy. So it really falls on the leadership and each individual manager. And one of the things that a manager is responsible for, the key thing, is the performance of the department and thus the people in it. Now, I talked about this in my recent video on 3 tips for new managers, where I talked about understanding what's expected of you. Now, when it comes to training and development, even if it's not clear for you from your boss what your role is in that, think about new parents when they have a baby. At one moment before the baby arrived, they didn't have that child, that infant to look after. So the responsibility was really in care for the mother and preparing for the arrival. But once that child comes into this life, the role is unquestionable of the parents. They must feed and care and look after that child, because otherwise the child can't survive. So it's an inherent responsibility. And I see training and development, maybe we can't relate to it in such a way, but it is an inherent responsibility that a manager needs to think about, needs to act on. And especially today, where the younger generation of people entering the workforce expect growth opportunities, not just challenging work, but opportunities to continue to learn because of technology, because people are changing jobs so often. They want to keep their skill set current. Some people, some employees will just do it on their own, but others look or expect the organization to provide ongoing training. In fact, I was just in an interview with a client, with a candidate for a new position, and that was one of the key questions he asked. Do you provide training, ongoing training? This was a engineering position, and the person was just graduating, so obviously they wanted to keep developing their skill set, not just learning on the job, but being able to get some training, as structured training as well. So let's get into the types of training. I said that a core responsibility of a manager is to provide training to employees. So what training should you be providing? Now, I've listed 5 areas. The first one, which is pretty obvious, is skills training, especially today with new technology coming on board. I mean, even tools like Microsoft Office, they keep improving. You don't even notice it. The tool gets updated if you're subscribed to the Microsoft 365. It gets updated on its own, but there's new features, and that should be an indication that ongoing training should be for the core tools that people use. I call that skill training. So using a software, using a tool should be ongoing because they keep improving and changing. So that's one area. Technical training would fall into that as well. There's also process training, especially for new employees. You need to train them on your processes, maybe it's somebody that's very experienced, let's say in graphic design, but don't know what your process is to either collaborate, deliver, keep their boss updated, their colleagues updated, communicate with suppliers or whatever. So what processes do you have in place? And if there's changes, change always requires some training. I'd say always, usually some training for the person that's experiencing the change. And the more you can communicate what training you're going to be providing relative to the change coming, the more at ease they'll be with the change. The next thing is cross-training. So imagine a situation where you're the warehouse manager and you have 15 employees. Some are doing order picking or preparing, others are packing, receiving goods, shipping goods. So all these could occupy a person all day, but cross-training will permit you to have each person learn the other person's task. So if somebody's away, somebody could take over. If there's a rush in one area, another person could pitch in. And also you could then rotate the tasks so people aren't doing the same thing every day and getting bored with the work. The work becomes more interesting. So cross-training is important. Team training, more and more people need to collaborate and work as a team. And there's related to that are soft skills. Here I talked about more like hard skills, which are more like technical, operational type skills, but then you have the soft skills, how to listen, how to coach somebody, a coworker, just easy type of skill sets for listening, asking questions, collaborating. These are all real skills that is often referred to as soft skills. So these are important as well if you want people to be able to work as a team. Things like problem solving, if you want, and I'll talk about this in another upcoming video, but if you want people to work on problem solving as a team, then they need to learn some of those skills. The last thing I have listed here is personal development. So this could be incorporated into the team training, but it could also be a standalone where you teach things like being accountable, taking responsibility, how to set goals, mindfulness training. You could even bring in physical training like mindfulness, maybe learning about how to better manage your health or your finances. These are all what I call personal development growth training, which will enhance their mindset, their ability to be accountable, take responsibility, manage their lives better, and just be generally healthier, and be thankful, appreciative that you're providing this type of training, because not every organization does. So there's ample areas for you to train people. Now you could either deliver the training yourself or find resources. There may be local governmental assistance for these types of training. Of course, if you have to create budgets for that, you'll need to get approval. But it's a great way to further engage your staff. And again, it's a core responsibility of every manager because it's going to contribute to the retention of people, the performance and productivity of people and the department. So I highly recommend you work on this. Now, one thing you may want to do is create a training plan, do some type of needs analysis. I have a video on that, an article that walks you through the steps. I even have a worksheet for that you could download for free. So I'll put links to where you could refer to that in the description of the video. So take action. What action are you going to take to look into training needs for your staff and to act on it so that you will reap the benefits as a manager, the organization will, and so will the employees. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, check out some of the related videos as I mentioned and the articles in the blog section of my website. Thank you for listening, and we'll talk again soon.